Го следите неделното интервју на Радио Слободна Европа. Денешна гостинка е амбасадорката на ОБСЕ во Македонија Нина Суомалајнен. Амбасадорке, дојдовте во Македонија во критичен период за земјава, кога се закажани практично изборите што се сметаат за клучни за едината на Македонија. Се сретнавте со дел македонски политичари. Каква порака им пренесовте?
Well, the OSCE mission to Skopje has been in this country since the early 1990s, and of course our mandate has been a little bit changing over time. But the main parts of our mandate are really to help in the inter-ethnic dialogue, creating constructive inter-ethnic relations and dialogue, to help with the implementation of the audit framework agreement, and also to serve kind of a organization for early warning and confidence building and conflict prevention, also in case there are such tensions coming. So these are the main parts for the mandate, and of course I have been discussing with all the authorities and opposition and other interlocutors who I met that we very much want to help the country to move on in these areas.
Во договорот од 2 јуни што го подпишаа лидерите на 4 најголеми политички партии, се предвидува меѓу другото владата пред изборите да побара засилен долгорочен и краткорочен мониторинг на ОБСЕ ОДИХР. Што ќе значи ова за начинот на кој вашата организација ги наблюдува изборите?
Well, basically, the ODIHR, Office for Democratic Institutions and Human Rights, they are based in Warsaw. They are really actually the leading international institution for election observation everywhere in the world, and mainly, of course, in the OSCE region. So they already have been here for some preparatory visits. They will have a needs assessment mission, which will hopefully take place in November. Then they will. Based on that, they will then decide how long the observation mission will be. Normally, it's a minimum 2 months before the elections. Probably in this case, probably a bit longer. So we are very much helping them to get information on the activities happening now: election legislation, election management, other election preparations. Campaigning, of course, the campaigning officially hasn't started, but everywhere in the world, the pre-election time is already activities are maybe seen as campaigning. Also, really the political party activities and media environment. So we are helping them to look into that already based on what we are doing here now.
Модифицирањето на составот на Државната изборна комисија и зголемените овластувања се дел од темите за кои што дискутира работната група. Какви се искуствата во другите земји со слични проблеми? Кој е најдоброто решение практично?
In international election standards, there are a number of good practices. So in a way, there is no one single mechanism how to organize or how to manage elections. Also for the election legislation, there are different models. The OSCE ODIHR institution is basically giving some advice on the best practices. And it is then really up to the political parties here to agree on what kind of practices will be used in this country. However, of course, there is election legislation and there's a voter registration process. One thing what is important, though, is that whenever these things will be changed, they wouldn't be changed too close to the elections. So normally there is 1 year before, but of course in some countries it's possible to do it 6 months, 8 months, 9 months before. But it's important that whenever elections are getting closer, it is known in good time what is the legislation, what are the management proceedings and so forth. Also, a crucial principle, of course, is independence and neutrality for any election institutions nationally or locally.
Амбасадорке, на секои избори проблем е избирачкиот список. Сега, начинот на кој што тој ќе се прочисти практично е дел од преговорите на работната група. Се зборува за активна регистрација, за теренска проверка. Според вас, останува ли доволно време до закажаните избори за овој краток период реално да се прочисти избирачкиот список?
I think there is a possibility, of course, to improve the system with the voter registration. To do it totally new, there are those who say that time is too short, but there are those who say that, well, if you do it really, really efficiently, you might be able to do that. So I'm not taking stand on that particular issue, but also with a normal reorganizing or reviewing the voter register as it is now, it is totally possible to do it with help of experts to see that, to ensure that there are no errors or duplications or things like that. So if now the management of elections we start to do it, it's still possible, really possible to do it in good time before elections.
Разговорите кои што произлегуваат од политичките договори постигнати во првшино во врска со медиумите најмногу се фокусирани околу јавниот сервис. Клучно ли е подобрувањето на неговата работа за подобрување на сликата во медиумите пред изборите?
The role of the public broadcasting system or company, whatever it's called in different countries, I think it's very important. In most European countries, there is a public broadcast company, and the role is really to provide neutral, independent information to citizens. Sometimes it's information, it might be news, sometimes it might be cultural programs or language programs and so forth. So it's very important, I think, because then you can guarantee information and broadcasting material without commercial financing, and hopefully also without political interference. This is very important. And so public broadcasting has really very important role, and I think also in our host country it has a big purpose.
Бегалците и мигрантите се едно од најсериозните прашања со кои што се соочува Европа периодов. Каква е вашата оцена? Како Македонија се справува со ова прашање?
Yes, the refugee and migrants crisis is really a European crisis or worldwide crisis, actually, and of course until now I think it was a surprise to everybody, and so the government and the authorities have been improving the system quite a lot. I visited myself the Gevgelia, there's a refugee reception center area, and now it's there's a system which is quite organized and well done. It's together with UNHCR and the authorities, of course, and I think at the moment there's been lots of good progress. Of course, most of the refugees and migrants don't stay in this country at the moment. They will continue further. So one thing what could be done is to make some contingency plans in case some of the borders will get closed and some people will not be able to move forward, because of course then when the winter is coming they might need some shelter for a longer time and food and assistance, and even some of course might be asking for asylum in the end. But at the moment, I think there has been a good progress on that, and authorities, it's this kind of a crisis which is coming, and one has to be constantly vigilant and constantly seeing that the whatever is needed is being provided.
Какви се вашите оцени за меѓуетничката ситуација во Македонија? Постои ли можност од нејзино влошување?
Well, what we have seen in the recent few years, is that there have been less inter-ethnic incidents and less tension, which is very good, which we think is really way to the future. Of course, the very tragic incident and events what happened in Kumanovo, where many policemen lost their lives, also of course people from the armed group. It was tragic and sad, and but we think that wasn't really an indication of an inter-ethnic situation in this country, because there are many other aspects there involved. But we really want to continue working with the different communities, because there are 7 communities, main ethnic communities in the country, and of course it is up to, I mean, the state needs to provide possibilities for all those communities to participate, to be equally represented, and to have their own identity kept alive and so forth. So for the moment, I think this country was going to the better direction, and we hope this continues also in the future, and we are very much here to support that.
Ви благодарам на одвоеното време.
Thank you.
Тоа беше се во неделното интервју на Радио Слободна Европа, во кое гостинка беше амбасадорката на ОБСЕ во Македонија Нина Суомалајнен. Довидување.